Hi guys, welcome back to Nixie DIY Crafts. Today's video is all about making some of these yummy looking fake treats for my daughter's Christmas trees. These were so addicting to make. I hope you'll be inspired to recreate some of these. They were so simple to make and definitely inexpensive. So let's get started. First, I took one of these 4.5-foot trees. I added some Dollar Tree boas, and then of course we added our treats. For the first project, I'm using one of these packs from the Dollar Tree. These were left over from fall, so I am going to repurpose them. I'm going to start off by painting them with some of this light mint teal color, I guess. It's a chalk paint. I do give my pumpkins 2 coats. To make our topping, I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree spackle and some of the Dollar Tree colorful foam balls. I'm going to start off by adding some of the spackling into this plastic cup using a plastic spoon. You'll notice that the spackling is a little bit grainy, so we are going to add a little bit of water and a little bit of paint to this mixture. I do add just a little bit of white paint because if you notice, the spackle has like a tint of gray, and I didn't want that to be the color of my frosting. And then little by little, I start to add water. Your ending consistency should be similar to cake frosting. If you make it too watery, it will be dripping all over your pumpkins, which is also nice if you want that look, but try not to make it too liquidy. Then I'm going to transfer it over to this Ziploc bag, which I have laying inside of one of my wine glasses. If your mix is too watery, it's okay. Just add a little more spackling to the mix and then continue to mix it until it's the right consistency. So now that I've added my mix to the bag, I'm going to try to squeeze the mixture all to one corner of the bag, and then I'll trim a little bit of the corner of the bag for the spackling mixture to come out. You'll see here as I start to decorate that I am no baker. I am not a professional at adding frosting to cakes. So anyways, this spackle is awesome. I don't know if this is how spackle works, but it's a self-leveling spackle. So you see here that I'm using the tip of the bag to just kind of push the spackle to the empty spots, and it looks like a complete mess, but you'll see it in a little bit in the video how it just starts to self-level out, and then it just becomes like a satin finish look. It's really cool to see it happen. So here I'm just adding some of these little foam balls directly to the spackle using the plastic spoon just to press it down a little bit. Now to this mixture, I did add a little bit of glitter, and in a little bit you'll see that I'll come back and add a little more glitter on top of my muffins. You can see here already how the first cupcake, it's already self-leveled. All that mess that I added on top of it is gone. So it's like it never happened. It's awesome. So here I'm just gonna add a little bit of shimmer. It is a glitter, it's iridescent, so it represents sugar. So now on top of my little muffins, I'm gonna add one of these frosted cranberries. I did buy a bag of this at Hobby Lobby. So there we go. And if some of the hot glue did seep out, I just went ahead and added a little bit more of the little foam balls and glitter mixture to cover my oops. And this is how they turned out. For the next DIY, we're going to be making some ornament cupcakes using some leftover ornaments that I had and some cupcake liners. To the center of the liner, I'm adding this 1/3 piece of chipboard that I cut out using a cereal box and my paper punch. I add this base so my ornament will stand inside the cupcake liner, and if I want to use these on my table as decoration pieces, it would stand up. I made these ornaments last year and I made the mistake of not adding a base to the bottom of the liner, so my ornaments just kept tipping over. So this year I added the circle base. Again, using just a cereal box, I cut out a 1/3 circle. Now I'm taking my hot glue gun and I'm adding hot glue to my cupcake liner and pressing that liner to the ornament. It does get very hot, so make sure you have your silicone fingers on or use one of those silicone spoons to press it all down. Now to add our frosting, I'm just going to repeat the same technique. I didn't even think about doing a swirly technique on these. I just added the filling right to the cupcake just the same way that I did it with the mini bundt cakes using the little pumpkin ornaments. So here again, I'm just adding a very messy layer of this spackling to my ornament. But again, you'll see it in a little bit how it starts to self-level. And then I repeat the steps. I go ahead and I add some of my little foam balls with the shimmery glitter. It's hard for the camera to capture the shimmer of the glitter. In person though, it looks really, really pretty. It looks like crystallized sugar on top of it. And then I add some of my colorful foam balls. This is how it looks so far. So I decide to take one of these frosted cranberries and add it to the cupcake. So I'm going to use hot glue to attach. And this is how these turned out. For the next DIY, I'm going to repurpose again one of these orange Dollar Tree pumpkins from fall. Last year I had a glam theme, and this year I went back to traditional colors. So that's why I don't mind repurposing this pumpkin again. So here I'm painting it again using the same teal color, and I do end up giving it 2 coats of the paint because the gray was dark. Make sure that when you're giving a project multiple coats that you do let the coats dry in between, because you don't want the paint to peel off of your project. So here I'm just dabbing on paint on top of that glitter portion, not a lot because I'm gonna add the frosting on top of it, so it's gonna cover it anyways. Now for this frosting mixture, again, I'm using the same spackling from the Dollar Tree, but now I'm adding some pink paint to it, and then of course a little bit of water. Go ahead and start mixing that mixture together. If it's too liquidy, then go ahead and add more spackle so it's the consistency of cake frosting. Once you have the right consistency, I'm going to transfer it over again to another Ziploc bag, and then I will start to squeeze that out right on top of my pumpkin. As much fun as these projects were to make, they were a little bit messy, so I do recommend protecting your work area. I ran out of spackling and I messed up, and between the combination of the paint and the water, my mixture was a little bit watery. So you see here that as soon as I add on my frosting, it's just dripping all over my pumpkin, and it's fine. I wanted that drip look, but not as much, but it's okay. I tucked it in anyways into the tree so you can't see all that dripping on the side. I probably could have fixed that by adding some baking soda, but I honestly didn't even think about that till now. So, but it turned out okay. This is what it looks like so far. So with any of these projects using the spackling, please let it rest overnight so it can fully dry. Once it's fully dry, then you can continue decorating it. So here I'm going to start decorating it using some of those frosted cranberries. To the edges of the bundt cake, I decided to cut the cranberries in half so they can lay flat on top of my cake. And this is how my cake turned out. Now for the next project, we're going to be using some of this plaster of Paris and some silicone mats to create some cookies and gingerbread cookies. So here I'm gonna put about a cup of the plaster of Paris into the disposable cup, and then little by little I'm going to add water. If you've never worked with plaster of Paris before, you have to work quickly with this powder because it starts to set right away. When you're using silicone mats, I do recommend that you add some type of cardboard platform underneath it, because the silicone mat, of course, is very flimsy. So here I added some water, and you do want to add a little bit of water at a time. If you've added too much water to your mixture, I recommend adding some more of the plaster to the mixture. You want this mixture to be a consistency like cake batter or pancake mix. For this project, remember you do have to work fast because it starts to dry as soon as you start to pour it in. It's really, really cool that you don't have to wait overnight for it to dry. Now, again, like I said, it is a little bit messy. As you can see here, I'm making a mess that while I was creating it, I instantly regretted not putting a plastic cover on my paper crafting mat because that plaster fell everywhere. But it is very simple to clean up. You can just use a damp paper towel and just wipe it right off while it's still wet. If it dries in place, then it's just, you can just crack it and it comes right off. So it is very simple to clean up. It's just a little messy at that moment. Another tip that I have is having a plastic spoon handy. You'll notice here that as soon as I insert the spoon into the mold, it starts to distribute the liquid into all the nooks and crannies of your silicone mat. Your next step is you want to grab the board underneath the silicone mat and start bouncing the silicone mats because you want all of the air bubbles to come up to the top. Once they're fully dry, which I give it about 20 to 30 minutes and maybe even less because it does dry right away, you just start popping them right out of your silicone mat, just like this. Now let's start painting our cookies. So I'm going to use 3 different colors to paint the cookies. I'm going to use a pale pink, which I'm creating right now using a little bit of white with a little touch of this Barbie color pink. I'm going to mix that up to create a really pale pink color. I'm also going to use the teal color that I previously used, and I'm also going to combine 2 different shades of brown to create a light brown color. I'm sure you don't want to sit here and watch me paint all of these cookies, so I'm just going to skip through just to show you the 3 different shades that I'm using. Now let's start decorating our cookies. I'm going to be using some of this Puffy paint to decorate the cookies. Now be patient with this task. These cookies are small. They measure about 2 inches. So here you'll see that I tried my best at outlining this cookie and I did a horrible job. So I went back in and I filled it in using the same Puffy paint. And then I took some of those little foam balls from the Dollar Tree with some of the shimmer glitter and just added that right on top of my cookie. But get creative. Have fun with this project. It's supposed to be fun and not stressful. For my cookies, I want to create that zigzag look again. So you'll see here that I start off pressing the bottle outside of the project and then over the project. Okay, so start from the outside and go over the project so it's nice zigzag lines. For the last cookie, I just highlighted the top pieces of the cookie and then I took some of the little foam balls and I added them to the top to each tip of the cookie. Once you're done, just set them aside to dry. After they were dry, I decided to add some of these frosted cranberries to the center of some of the cookies. Now let's create a garland using our cookies. So I'm going to use some of this chunky red and white twine and a 3/4 circle punch. You'll see to the left, I've already punched out some circles using cardstock. I'm going to place my gingerbread cookies out, trying to space them equally apart using alternating colors, pink, teal, brown, pink, teal, brown. So I'm going to add hot glue to the back of the gingerbread cookie, press the twine into the glue, and then securing it in place using that circle. Make sure to use your silicone fingers or my silicone spoon to press everything down. And then on both ends of the twine, go ahead and make a triple knot, creating a loop so you're able to hang it on your tree. And this is how this project turned out. Now let's create a garland using our cookies. So I'm repeating the same techniques. I'm using the circles, but this time I'm cutting them in half, and that's what's going to secure our twine in place. But I'm doing the same steps. I'm going to place my cookies equally spaced apart using alternating colors. Now for this garland, I decided to place my cookies closer together because I am adding more cookies than I did with the gingerbread. Remember to tie your loops on each side of your twine, and these are the ending results. For the next project, we're going to be making some marshmallow swirls using some chunky yarn and some skewers. So I start off by adding hot glue to the tip of the skewer. I add the white yarn and then the teal yarn, and then I start swirling it. Make sure that you make it really tight. Add hot glue in between, not necessary, but I did that. Add hot glue in between until you get to the end. Now, I did leave about 3 inches at the bottom because that's what I'm going to stick into the tree. So allow yourself a little bit of space at the bottom. Then finish it off by adding some more hot glue. And then to the tip of my skewer, I added one of my frosted cranberries. I added hot glue to the tip and then pressed the cranberry right into the stick. Just like that. Now let's create another marshmallow swirl using some pink yarn with white. So I'm repeating the steps. I'm adding hot glue to the tip of the skewer and then adding my yarn and swirling it around. And these are the ending results. For the next 2 projects, I'm going to use these snowflakes from Dollar Tree and these foam Christmas trees from Michael's. The first thing I did was take them outside, spray paint them with this light brown to make them look like cookies. Then I take my puffy paint and I start outlining the tree form, and then I add swirlies to the center. Then before they dried, I added some of this iridescent glitter so it will represent sugar. And then to finish them off, I added frosted cranberries to the tip of each tree. And this is how these turned out. For the last cookie, I took these 2 snowflakes from the Dollar Tree and I removed the diamond trimming on top. I then took them outside, spray painted them with the same shade of the light brown, then took my puffy paint and I started to highlight the areas where the diamond trim originally was glued down. I have to be honest, I think these last 2 cookies were my favorite out of all the DIYs on this video. I didn't record it, but I ended up adding to the center frosted cranberries, and these are the ending results. And that completes all of the projects for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Bye.